So now we're going to close this data table for the quest, and we're going to go ahead and proceed with the next steps. So inside of our quest system, so we're going to come out of the data table folder. We're going to create a new folder for blueprints. And we're going to create a new blueprint class, and this would be of type actor component. So we're going to name this BPC for blueprint component underscore quest manager. And before we go any further, we're going to go ahead and open up our third person character and add this component to our third person character. So go ahead and add this new component, and this would be our quest manager. And that should add the BPC quest manager to our player. So go ahead and save it, and we can close the third person character. So back in your blueprints folder for the BPC quest manager, let's go ahead and open this up. So we're going to add some variables to this. So first variable is going to be DT underscore quest. So this is going to be our data table with all the quests. And this is going to be of type data table. And we're going to set this to an object type, object reference data table. Let's go ahead and compile it. Select the variable and make sure this is instance editable and also expose on spawn. And where you have the DT quest as your default value, we're going to go ahead and select our DT quests as our data table here. Compile and save it so that is set up. Next is going to be our active quests. And this is going to be of type integer, but we're also going to make this a map. For our map, this is going to be st underscore quest data. So that's going to be our active quest. So we're going to use this map to store all of the active quests that the player currently have. And the next one is going to be our completed quests. And this completed quest is going to be an integer, and this is going to be just a type array. So this completed quest is going to keep record of all the quest IDs that you have completed. Next is going to be your current main quest. This is going to be of type integer, and this is going to be a single. This is going to keep track of what is your current quest that you are currently on. By default, we're going to set this to 0. And if this is set to 0, we will consider that there's no main quest that is active. And last but not least, we're going to go ahead and add in a new variable for quest givers. And this is going to be of type integer, and we're going to go ahead and map it to a actor class. Object reference, compile and save this. So this variable we're going to actually use to link the NPC in our map with the NPC ID. So if I go ahead and press plus here just to show you, I can actually set NPC ID, let's say 101, and then the actor type would be an NPC actor blueprint that I have. I don't have an additional NPC blueprint actor, but pretend that this test dummy is our NPC, then I would go ahead and select that here. Which I know I cannot do here, but you get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and delete this here. So that's it for the variables for now. So we're going to start building up our functions. So our first function is going to be initialize quest givers. So before we initialize our quest givers, we need to have a class created for the quest giver. So we're going to go to our content drawer, and inside of our quest system, I'm going to create a new folder, and this would be named as NPCs. Now, you can actually put this NPC folder anywhere you like. You may already have an NPC folder with all of your NPCs, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to put it inside of this folder. Open up the NPCs, and we're going to go ahead and create a new blueprint class. And now you have two options. You can either choose actor as your base class or character. You would want to choose an actor if your quest giver is going to be a terminal or like a computer that doesn't need any type of character mesh or movements or anything like that. But if your NPC is going to be an actual character that's going to have some dialogues or like animations and stuff, you would go with your character. I'm going to go ahead and select actor as our NPC here because I'm going to just set up a computer and I'm going to make it so that the player can go and access the quest from this computer. But it would be working exactly the same thing for your character as well. And then you would just create a character blueprint instead. I'm going to name this as BPC underscore quest giver underscore base. So there's going to be a base class that I'm going to set up with all the variables and functions, and I'm going to duplicate this onto other blueprints so that I can have multiple different computers and they could have their own set of information inside of it. So let's open up our BP quest giver, and we're going to add some variables. Our first variable that we're going to add is our NPC ID. And this is going to be of type integer. So we're going to need to define what the NPC ID is. So for now, I'm going to set this NPC ID to 0. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add in available quests. And this is going to be an integer, but it's going to be an array type. Remember, our quest ID is an integer, so that means this available quest is going to keep track of multiple different integers, and that's going to define which quest can this NPC hand out. So if the available quest is 1, 3, and 5 in this integer array, that means this NPC can only hand out those 3 quests, and another NPC has to give out different quests and such. And it's up to you to decide who gives out what quest. You could have just one actor hand out all the quests, or you can have multiple different NPCs handle completely different types of quests. And the next one that we're going to add is the quest index. And this is going to be an integer, and also it's going to be a type single. So this is more of a tracking variable. This is going to track the index of the next quest that is in our available quest that this NPC can possibly hand out. So let's go ahead and compile and save this, and we can go ahead and close it. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a child blueprint class, and I'm going to name this BPC underscore NPC 001. So this is going to be my first NPC. And we could also actually add in a static mesh. So let's go to our quest giver and add in a static mesh in our component. And this would be our model. Compile and save. So now if I open up the child and then click on open full blueprint editor in my viewport, I can now define this model to be anything I would like. I do not have a computer, but this cube looks like a good quest giver for now. So we're going to use this cube as our quest giver, and I'm going to change the color of this cube to red. So this would be our quest giver. And also back in my quest giver base, let's go ahead and add in a collision. This will be a box collision for now. And then this is going to be the interact underscore trigger. So this is basically the collision which the player needs to overlap before they get the interact button or function. And in our NPC01, this interact, we're going to go ahead and increase the box extent, make it bigger. So the player just has to reach within this, anywhere within this collision, and they should be able to interact with this box, or our quest giver actually. So now that we have defined our base quest giver class, we can now go ahead and close all of these. And then in our BPC quest manager, we're going to go ahead and get all actors of class. And we're going to search for the quest giver class. And we're going to go ahead and look for a for each loop. So we can go through each and every single class that is out there in the field. And then start initializing our quest giver. So drag in your quest giver and do a get. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the loop body. We're going to drag off of this array element, and we're going to get the NPC ID. So this is going to be the NPC ID that is within that specific NPC. And we're going to connect this NPC ID as our integer value here. And the array element, which is basically our quest giver class reference, is going to be the class here. And now off of completed, we can go ahead and return this function. Now this function is good and all, but there is a small problem with this function. So let's say you take this quest giver class and then you actually put it in your map. However, the quest giver does not have this NPC ID. Then you're going to get an error stating that it tried to access this NPC ID and got none. So in this case, you just got to be careful to make sure that whenever you place in the quest giver class, there is an NPC ID present for that quest giver class. One other thing that you could also do is open up your quest giver base and then search for something called tags. And then add in a tag named quest giver. So this will apply a tag to the base class, which will also apply to your NPC1, right? So if you go ahead and search for tag, you should see that quest giver tag already readily available. So now in your BPC quest manager, you can just, before you go ahead and set this NPC ID to your map here, you would drag the element and then you would search for has tag or actor has tag. And the tag that we're looking for is quest giver. Here you would add in a branch, and then you would connect in the Boolean here. And then only if the actor has the tag quest giver, then you're going to take that information and add it to your quest giver map. If that actor does not have the quest giver as the tag, then the game is not going to consider that person as someone who can give you a quest. All right, so that's it for this function. Let's go ahead and create our next function. Our next function is going to be give quest. This give quest is going to be the one that is going to add an quest to your active quest list. So first, let's add in an input. And this input is going to be our quest ID. And this is going to be of type integer. Now, before we go ahead and give the quest to the player, we need to validate to make sure that this quest is an actually available quest in our data table. So if I go ahead and drag off of this and say get data table row, then I need to input the data table information, which is basically our variable DT quest. So we can drag and connect this in here, and this should be good. But now we need to define the row name. So if you set up your row name exactly like your quest ID, then in our BPC Quest Manager, I can drag off of this row name and we can go ahead and make this a make literal name. So for the value, we're going to drag in our quest ID and we're going to search for something called toString. And then you have an option utility function for toString integer. And this will convert an integer to a string. And then you can connect the string to the value, which will connect the string to a name. So this way, you can easily go and find out if this quest ID is available in the data row. Instead of having to go through all the line one by one using a for each loop, you can easily find out if this row name exists as a quest ID. Because we're going to do it this way, your out row is not going to be defined immediately. So you can just drag off of this out row and you can search for break and then look for break st quest data. And then this should now define your data table row. And if you compile, that error should go away. And now we're going to go ahead and do two things. One, if the row is not found, we want to go ahead and print. And we're going to say quest ID is not valid. So this basically means quest ID that you specified does not exist in your data table as a row name. So you just need to make sure that the quest ID is valid. And then if it is, then make sure that the row name matches the quest ID exactly as it is. If the row is found, then here is where you will do your prerequisites. So let's do a quick function here. We're going to name this check prerequisites. For now, I'm going to go ahead and do a return node. And then here, I'm going to set the output to success and set this to a Boolean and set this to true. So this check prerequisite function, I'm not going to define it here because it's going to be different for you in your game. But essentially, this check prerequisite is basically the conditions to accept this quest. Does the player needs to be a specific level? Does the player needs to be completed a specific part of the quest storyline before they can accept this quest and so on? So you would just use this Boolean as, can accept success or not success to let the quest system or let the give quest function know if they're allowed to take on this quest. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this check requisites here, check prerequisites, and then do a branch. And if the check prerequisites comes out saying success, that means the player has met the condition to receiving this quest. Then off of true, I'm going to go ahead and drag in my active quest. And then I'm going to add in a new item to our map. And our key here for the 0 is going to be our quest ID. So that's that right there. So I can just go ahead and drag and say get quest ID. And that will get me the quest ID. And the structure data is going to be the structure data that is here. So I can just go ahead, drag it, and connect it here. Once I connect it, I can go ahead and delete this, and that should still be functional. If it is false, then we're going to go ahead and do a print string and say prerequisite not met. Compile and save. And after you add in the quest, we're going to call in a different function. And this new function is going to be start quest logic. And we're going to connect this start quest logic just right after this. And the start quest logic is going to have an input. And the input is going to be the quest type. And this would be of type e_quest type. And we are going to go ahead and get the quest type directly from this out row. So I'm just going to drag this over here and then do a break quest data. And the only thing that I need is the quest type. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the quest type. And we can hide all the unconnected pins. And the reason why we need the quest type is, remember, we have a variable for current main quest. So if this quest that you are trying to give the player is a main quest, then we want to set our current main quest variable as our quest ID right here. So for the quest logic, we also need our quest ID here. And this is going to be of type integer. And here we can go ahead and say get quest ID. So in our start logic quest, we're going to drag off of this quest type, and we're going to go ahead and do an equal enum and check if it is a main quest, and then do a branch. If this is a main quest, then we're going to drag in our current main quest, and we're going to set our current main quest to our quest ID. After this, we're going to go ahead and call in our objective UI and such. So I'm going to create a function for that as well. And this is going to be setup objective UI. Here, after we set up our quest ID as our main quest, I'm going to go ahead and call in this setup objective UI. And if this is not the main quest, then alpha false, we're just going to go straight into setting up the objective UI. This is basically the UI popping up on your screen and saying, hey, you started this quest, and so on and so forth. You can play some music. You can do some effects on the screen if you would like. Anything that you would like to do when the player receives a quest, you would go ahead and define it inside of this setup objective UI. After we do this, we're just going to drag off of this and then call for a return node and then add in a return node here just to close off this function. And once we complete our start logic quest, then we're going to call in a return. And here we're going to add in an output, and we're going to call it added quest to player. And we're going to set this to a Boolean and set this to true. And if the print string says prerequisite not met, then we're going to add in this return node here. And we're going to set this to false, saying that we didn't add this quest to the player. And also here, we're going to add in the return node one more time and then set this to false. So that's it for your give quest function. So the check prerequisites, we're going to go ahead and set this to our give quest category. Same thing for the start quest logic and also setup UI objective. What this will do is it will actually attach these three functions to the main give quest as a subfunction. So this is actually much nicer than just setting up a separate category for all of it. So now that we have done our give quest functionality, so we can actually accept quest into our active quest system, let's go ahead and create a new function, and we'll name this report objective completion. So this report objective completion is going to be our main way of communicating from other blueprints to this blueprint to report that a portion of the objective is completed or the full objective is completed or such. Let's build into this, and I'll show you how this is going to work. The first input that we're going to have is the objective type. And this is going to be of type E_objective type. This is going to be our enumeration. And the second one is going to be our target actor class. And this is going to be of type actor. And this would be a class reference. And the next one is going to be target actor name. And this would be of type name. The next input is going to be our target item. And this is going to be of type st item info or item data. So these are the four information that any class, actor class, needs to pass over anytime an event is completed on their end. For example, I'll go to my content drawer and I'll go to core, enemy system, blueprints, and BP zombie base. In my BP zombie base, I do have a function to announce that the zombie has died, and I'm announcing it to my player character. So I can go over to my player character class, find the announce zombie death function, which is right over here. After we go ahead and add the weapon XP and everything, we're going to go ahead and call in our BPC quest manager. And then here, we're going to go ahead and do the report objective completion. And here, we're going to set the objective type A zombie, you would obviously, you would kill. You're not going to pick up or you're not going to go to a location with the zombie. So you're going to obviously do the kill. And the target actor class would be our zombie itself. And then I added this actor reference to our interface function. It's as simple as just adding the actor and then BP zombie base as the class here to your interface function. And in your BP zombie base, when you're announcing the death, the actor, you would set this to self. And in your third person character, you would just drag this actor, and then you would go ahead and do a get class function. And then this is going to give you the class of this actor, and then you can plug that into your target actor class. And you can leave the target actor name as none, and this would still work because if you remember in our kill 5 zombies quest, our target actor name, we set this to none. So this one's going to match this target actor as none. So this is perfectly fine. And the target item in our target item here, we left all of this as empty as part of our quest. So we're going to leave this target item not defined. This is how you would report back to the quest manager if an objective is completed. So every time the zombie is killed, it's going to go ahead and call this report objective completion function through the player character. And the quest manager is going to take note of all of the information that is coming through these 4 inputs. And it's going to check against our active quest to see if all of this objective type and the actor class is already defined. And if this matches our quest data table, then it's going to go ahead and increment our current quantity of the quest by 1. So every time a zombie dies, the current quantity is going to keep increasing by 1 until the quantity required is reached. Once it's reached, then we're going to state that the objective is completed. So we are going to now drag in our active quest. We're going to drag off of the active quest and then look for values. This is going to give us an array of all of the quest and all of the quest data information as well from the structure. We're going to do a for each loop. We're going to go through each and every single quest that we have in our active quest array. And off of the array element, we're going to break the ST quest data. And we only need the quest ID and also the objective array. We're going to use the quest ID in just a moment, but we're going to get the objectives array, which is basically going to give us our objective information, like what is the ID of the objective, what is the type of objective and such. We're going to now drag this objective array, and then we're going to do another for each loop and connect this to the loop body. Now we're going to go through all of these objectives that the player has specified for this specific quest, because remember, this is an array element. So that means one quest could have as many objectives as you would like. So that's why we're going through each and every single objective that this quest has. And then we're going to check against the report that we got in. So basically, if you drag in your array element and break the ST objectives, you're going to get all of the information from the data table, like the objective type, the target actor class, the name, and the target item. We're going to check against the information that we just received when this function is called. Instead of dragging the lines across the graph, I'm going to right-click and then do get objective type. And then that's going to give me exactly this information, but instead of dragging the line, it's going to give it to me as a node. Then I'm going to get the target actor class. And then I'm going to get the target actor name. And also I'm going to get the target item. So these 4 information are exactly what is being reported by the zombie in this case. We're going to go ahead and just paste it over here. And we need to now compare this information against our objective. So first I'm going to drag off of this loop, and then I'm going to add in a branch. And here I'm going to drag the objective type from our ST objectives, and I'm going to do an equal. And this is going to be an equal enum, and then connect this objective type here. And I'm going to check if this is true. If this is true, then I'm going to add in another branch. Then I'm going to check if the target actor class is true. Then it's going to be equal and target actor class, because zombie may not be the only actor that you want to kill in your game. So that's why we're making sure that the actor class is properly defined. So if you have like zombies and if you have aliens, and when this function report objective completion is called, we want to make sure that we only work with the quest that has the proper target actor class defined. If this is B zombie base, we want to check to make sure that BP zombie base is the one calling out for this function. So that's why we are doing a check against the target actor class. Although we have no target actor name, we still are going to add in a check for the target actor name. Because you may just use the target actor name, although we're not using it at this time. You may just end up using it in your game. So we're just going to add this functionality in here anyways. And then again, same deal. We're just going to add a branch to true. Connect the target actor name here. Just move this up here, just like this. Next, for the target item, you cannot really go ahead and compare a structure with another structure using an equal node. So we're going to go ahead and create a new function to check this. So let's go ahead and create a new function. And this would be compare underscore st item data. And this is going to have two inputs. The first one is going to be item data A. And the second one is going to be item data B. And we're going to have an output saying match with a question mark. And we're going to set this to a Boolean. And here the function is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to drag off of item data A, break it, drag off of item data B, and then break it. And we're going to check if the item ID equals the item ID. We're going to add in a branch, but we're not going to connect this in here yet. We just need to do some more items here before we go ahead and connect it. We're going to do the same thing for item name. Now, item name, we cannot use an equal operator. We have to use an equal exactly text operator. So once you select that, you should be able to compare the item name here just like this. Same thing for item description. When you do an equal, make sure you click on the equal exactly and then do the item description. And for the item icon, not really relevant here, but we're just going to go do it again just to make sure that everything matches about this item data. And now we're going to right click and search for an AND Boolean. And this AND Boolean, we're going to go ahead and connect it to this condition, and it's going to give out either true or false. Now this AND Boolean will send out true. If both of the inputs that is connected to this AND Boolean is true, it's going to send out true. If either one of this is false, then it's going to be always false. So we need to compare all of these four nodes and make sure all four of these are true for us to say that it is a match. So we're going to add two more pins. Connect the Booleans from all of these nodes just like this. And then now you've got your AND Boolean connected to the branch. Let's go ahead and connect this branch to the execution pin. If it is true, we're going to copy and paste this return node one more time and connect one of them to true. The other one is to false. If it is false, then we're going to set the match to false, and then we're just going to leave it as it is. And if it is true, then we're going to check mark the true here, and that will be our result. And this is our simple item data comparison function. So back in our report objective, we're going to go ahead and select the compare st item data. We're going to make this a pure function because we don't want to do an execution here. It's not necessary. And then drag it in here, and then you're going to get this node. Connect the target item to target item data A, and then this here to B. It doesn't really matter which one you connect to where. And now we got ourselves a Boolean. So we're going to connect a branch here and connect the branch node just like this. I'm just going to move this out here and plug this into this, just like that. Compile and save. Now, this final node is going to fire out either true or false. If this is true, that means we have found our quest and also the objectives for it. Now, these four branches are going to help us to make sure that we are going to be working on the correct quest and then update the correct quest information. So if any one of this fails, that means we're not going to be working on the correct quest, and we're not really going to do anything about it because our false right now is set to do nothing, right? So only when the game recognizes that the objective is kill zombie, and when the zombie actually dies, and when the zombie reports back to the quest system saying, hey, I just died, count it up, we want to progress further in reporting out our quest. So to actually report out and also keep track of this, we're going to use our current quantity, and this is how our entire system is built off of. When our quantity required matches our current quantity, that means we're going to set our objective as completed. So in our DT quest right now for the zombie hunt, our quantity required is to kill 5 zombies, and the current quantity is set to 0. As soon as the player kills 5 zombies, we're going to go ahead and say that this quest is completed. So first, we're going to drag off of our current quantity, and we're going to go ahead and add 1 to it. Because this quest is going to run every time a zombie dies or when an objective is completed, it's going to run one at a time. So we're going to add just one to this. And then we want to go ahead and clamp this. We're going to do a clamp integer, and the minimum value, we can set this to 0, but the maximum is going to be set to this quantity required. That's because if our objective requires us to kill only 5 zombies, then we want to only keep track of our current quantity until the current quantity reaches 5. When it gets to 6 zombies, 7 zombie, we don't really care about that information anymore. We want to go ahead and call out for completing the objective and such. So that's why we're doing a clamp. Once we clamp this, the return value, I'm going to promote it to a local variable. And we're going to name this local underscore current QTY, current quantity. And we're going to go ahead and set this off of true. Only when these conditions are met, we're going to increase our current quantity by 1 and then set that as our local quantity. Now we're going to go ahead and drag in our active quest and do a get. And drag off of this active quest, and we're going to first do a find. And for this find, we need the actual quest ID for this find. So we're going to, if we scroll back, you remember when we broke our ST quest data, we actually got our quest ID. We're going to just drag this over and connect this to the find. And using this find, I'm going to first do a branch to make sure that we did find this quest, and then connect this to the branch just like this. If this quest is found, this is more of a failsafe. This is always going to be found as long as you define your quest ID properly. And that's why we're adding this branch to make sure that you defined your quest ID properly. We're going to drag off of this value and we're going to promote it to a local variable. And this is going to be local underscore st quest data. And set this to true over here. Compile and save it. Now we're going to go ahead and break this st quest data. And we only need the objectives, so we can hide the unconnected pins and then just select the objectives. And for this array, we're going to go ahead and do a get, and we're going to get a reference, not a copy, but a reference. And we need to insert an index here. And this index is going to be exactly the same array index as this each loop that we did on the quest data. So I'm just going to drag this array index over and then plug it into this get, adding in a reroute just to make this line nice and straight. And here, I'm going to go ahead and drag off of it and select set members in ST objectives. And select the set members in ST objectives node. And the only information that we're updating at this time is just the current quantity. So we're going to go ahead and select the current quantity and drag our local current quantity and connect it here just like this. Let's move this up so we can connect this to the execution pin here. And next, drag off of this and we're going to set array element. And for this node, we need to provide the array. The array would be our objectives array here. So we're just going to drag and connect it here. And the index would be the same index as where we got our index for our get node. So I can just double click on it to add in a reroute. And then I can just connect that here to this index just like this. And the item that we need to connect is the struct out. So we can just drag this struct out and then we can connect this to the item just like that. Compile and then save it. Once we set up our array element, we're going to drag in our active quests and we're going to do a add node and make sure this is not the operator add. This is a map add. And then now we're going to set this up as our new updated information. So essentially what we're doing here is once we identify that the objective has progressed by one step, we're finding our quest data from our active quest and we're saving it as a local quest data, because if you try to directly connect this to your add node here, which you can, but then it's not going to update the data properly. So we're actually setting this up as a local data. So it kind of creates a new quest data variable with all new information. And we're modifying that local data here and updating the objective information in our local data. And then the local data, we're just going to go ahead and drag and connect it to this add just like this. So this add is now going to consider this as brand new information and it's going to properly update. Now we need to specify the key for it. The key is going to be our quest ID. So we're going to just double click on here and then just drag this quest ID here. And I'm going to just do a reroute node just like this. And then compile and save. So this is all we have to do to report the objective. Now we're going to go ahead and test this out. So in our BP zombie base, we already called in the announce death, and then in our third person character, we're calling in this report objective completion. So that part of the objective is completed. I do want you to be careful is with this target item. In your DT quest, if you go under your index and then in your target item, if you accidentally add like a 0 or something to this item name, then your quest is not going to work out. Because remember, we're doing an exact comparison. Everything needs to match. So even if your item name is 0 in your data table, but in your third person character, if you drag off of this target item and if you do a make, this item name is going to be empty. So that means in your quest manager, this is going to fail. So you have to be careful that you do not leave anything inside of here. If you do, make sure you go and match it just like what you've done. If you don't do this, then it's going to fail. So just a quick note there, because I had a little bit of trouble with that. I accidentally added a 0 while I was creating it and it wasn't working for me. And then I had to troubleshoot it to figure this out. We're going to go ahead and create an interface function so our NPCs can start communicating with our player character, who can then start calling on our quest manager. So in our core folder, we're going to go ahead and create an interface. Let's go ahead and create a new interface. This will be blueprint interface, and this will be BPI underscore quests. And the first function that we're going to go ahead and call is assign quest to player. And this is going to have an input of quest ID. And we're going to set this as an integer. Very simple function. We're not going to do anything crazy now. As we progress through the tutorial, I will show you how you can expand on this. Right now, we're just quickly doing a test. So we're going to go back to our NPC folder and open up our NPC. And our interact trigger, we're going to go ahead and add a begin overlap event to this interact trigger. And off of the other actor, we know this is going to be the player character, so we're not going to do a check at this time. But in the future, we are going to do a check. We're going to just go ahead and call in the assign quest to player function. And the quest ID, for now, we only have one quest. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this quest ID name and just paste it in here. And the next thing that you want to do is go to your BPC quest manager, go to event graph, and then call in your initialized quest givers. So this will go ahead and make sure that the quest givers are all recorded and then they are eligible to start giving out quests. If you don't do this, then this NPC1 is not going to be able to hand in a quest to the player when they walk over that interact trigger. And also we will do some print string. So in our report objective, I'm going to go ahead and after add, I'm going to add in a print string and drag off of this print string and then do an append. And this would be quest name. Let me add a couple more pins. And the name of for the name of the quest, we can actually get it directly from this quest data. So I'm just going to drag off of this and do a break. And then I have the quest name here. So I can just go ahead and plug it in here. And we're going to leave a space. And the next one is going to be our objective info. And for the objective info, if I can just go a little further back, you can see that I have all the information. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag this description over. Again, this is only for us to test. We don't have a proper UI yet. So print string is going to be your best friend at this time. And we're going to go ahead and check for quantity required. And let me add a couple more pins. And the quantity required should be this node right here, quantity required. Plug this in here and then leave a space. And then this is going to be current quantity. And here we're just going to go ahead and plug in our local current quantity. It's going to be the same. Drop down this and then text color. I'm going to change this to red so I can actually see it and then let it be on the screen for about 20 seconds. We just need to go ahead into our map, go to our content drawer, drag in our NPC, and then just drop anywhere you like. And the last thing that we need to do is to just call in the interface function on our third person character. So in our third person character, we're going to go to our class settings. And then in our interfaces, we're going to go ahead and add our quest interface. And that will actually open up your assign quest to player event. So double click on it. And here we're going to drag in our BPC quest manager. And then we're going to call the give quest function. And then connect the execution pin and also the quest ID here. Compile and save. And now we're going to go ahead and press play, pull out my weapon, and I'm going to go touch this NPC, and that should give me a quest. Now, if I go ahead and shoot one of the zombie, on the top, you should see the quest name is Zombie Hunt. Objective is kill 5 zombies. Quantity required is 5, and the current quantity is 1. And then if I kill the second zombie, it's quantity 2. So you can see the quantity is properly updating. And as soon as I kill the fifth zombie, we haven't really done anything yet in terms of, completion for objective. But we can do that in a different video. But for now, we know our reporting function is working because our quantity is still going to be stuck at 5. All right, folks. So that's it for this part of the video. In our next video, we're going to start building our UI function for our quests and also start building more and more into this quest system. I hope you are excited as I am. And if you want to be notified as soon as I release the next part, hitting the subscribe button is the best way to do it. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll catch you all in the next one.